What's up, ladies and gentlemen? FFDev here, and in this video I'm just bringing you a short example of culling that I did to help with the performance of the game when rendering. So also I'm going to show you one more thing. If you still have the project that we did last time, the Pong project, and you don't want to have to set up SFML every time you want to start a project of your own, you can open that project and click on project, and then you can go to export template, project template, and then you can name it whatever you want, SFML template, and then like whenever you click on, make sure you have it automatically import to the template in the Visual Studio. But then whenever you create a new project, you can click on the SFML template and it'll clone that Pong project. You can delete the files you don't need and then clear out until you just got like a blank window open. The only thing you have to do is add the DLL files back in the SFML folder outside of the in here by the solution. You only add the SFML folder by the solution, and then when you go into your project here where it says the project file is, you just add the SFML DLLs and you'll be good to go. So in this project I created a simple way of culling for performance, so that way this is a little bit exaggerated and I made it 1080p, so I have to bring it to full screen so you can see it. This is a little exaggerated, and I drew a little box around the player where you can see what's being rendered. I drew just enough tiles to render on the screen, and I have it where it's only going to render what this box is touching. And the way I did that is I also made it customizable. Let's see, player. You can also change the size of it. Here we go, the cull shape size. We can make this, let's say, 250 by 250, and I'll have to change the origin, of course, on it, 150, or actually 125, about 125. Changing the origin of the box. Now you see, now it renders a lot smaller area. And this box isn't completely centered, but that's alright. You see what's going on here. In reality, you'd probably make it a lot bigger, where you can at least see everything on the screen. You don't see it happening, but you'll save yourself a lot of performance in the long run. So anyways, let me put this back to what it was, or something a little bit different. 250, and I'll put this to like 500. See if that looks good enough, because I'm going to use this for something later. It's my first time doing this. Pretty awesome here. Alright, so the way I did it was I started off by creating a tile class. And each basic tile, it's got a size, a color. Of course, we could be doing this with actual textures and different stuff now. I was just wanting to test culling and see how it worked. But anyways, I gave the tile a color and outline and the thickness. That's why it's red with white around it, because of the outline color. I have a way to get the position, which returns kind of like how we get our player's position, or the paddle's position, or ball position. It returns the tile shape, get global bounds, and it returns the actual shape, so we can draw the tile. And we give it a start position here. And that's that. Let me see. This is the actual file here. They're in the blah blah blah. Let's see, in the tile header, I have a variable called constant in it. It's public. Tile size of 32, because I want the tiles to be 32 by 32. Our constructor, is public. And there's our functions, and we also have the set position function. We don't need an update function for this, because we're not going to be moving it. So anyways, I'll show you how I initialize this. I created an array of tiles. Let me find out. Here it is. Tiles, and I also created a number of tiles. I wanted to create 60, and so I created 60 tiles inside this tile array. And the way I handled the drawing of it was I created a for loop here. For integer I equals 0, if I is less than the number of tiles, I plus plus. What it'll do is it'll set the I.set position to the tile position, which is going to be let me figure this out. Tile position is 0 is what I put by default, because I just want to draw a straight line. There's multiple ways to do this. And then I needed it to be a little bit up where I could see it, so I'd put 1080 minus 32, because y is the very bottom. And of course I'm in windowed mode. If I was in full screen, I could just leave it 1080. Then I put if player, and then my culling rectangle, I gotta show that, but we won't worry about that. We'll just ignore this right here. I put it where as it loops through, it'll draw the tile, get shape, and then it'll increment the tile by 32, tile position variable, which was set to 0 by default. And it does that because the size of each tile is 32. That way when it loops back through, it's going to put the next one just enough space beside of it to draw the next tile, and it will continue doing this until it's done. And this little variable here, the cull position, I'll show you that. I had to create a player, and it's similar to our paddle class. Let's see. It might look like it has a lot more, but the player, you know, I got a move speed. I was going to add a jump in, but I haven't done that yet. Moving right, left, you know, booleans is regular how we did the controls on the other one, and a jump boolean and gravity, which I haven't implemented the jump or gravity yet, any collision yet. But then we have a regular shape for our player, but then we also have the cull shape that I was talking about. So this isn't anything too difficult. So we have our move functions. This is all for the player. And then we have our get cull shape function and get shape function. Get cull position and get position. And I found an easy way of doing this by kind of tethering it to the get position function, because we want our box to be bound to the player. So when we look in our CPP file, you can see I meant to set the cull size here, the shape I want it to be 500 by 500. Set fill color to transparent because I wanted to see the little box around it, so I set an outline color to red and the outline thickness to 2. Then I set the origin to 250 to 250, which should be in the center of the box, but it's not completely centered on the player because I didn't change the origin of the player. That's why my box is a little bit crooked, but it's okay because I'm not too worried about that right now. I was just wanting to test the culling. So here's where I create my basic player size here. Player shape, I set him to 64 by 64. Green with a wide outline, thickness of 2. I set his position to M position. This is the constructor. And I set the cull set position to M position, which is fine. And then here we have it where we return our shape. We also return our get position, which is the global bounds where we can see where our player is. Then we get the cull shape, which returns the shape of the cull. We're going to need that. And we're also going to need to get the cull position, which returns the cull shape.get global bounds. But most of the magic that's done with keeping it synced up to the player is done in the update function. So here's our standard move position. This handles our player's position. So all I do is m underscore shape dot set position to M position. And then I just set the cull to the same position that we just used to move the player, and that's all there is to it. And then in the main function where I test for it, I'll show you how that's done exactly. I'll explain it. What I did was, let's see. Alright, so we check right here where we want to draw our tiles. We put an if statement, and we'll put if player.cull position or get cull position dot intersects. We're going to use that intersect function. If it intersects the current tile it's looping through, get position, then we're going to draw that tile. And that's all there is to it. So if we did this without it, you know, you'll see we can draw all the tiles at once. But with this simple little line, there's nothing much to it. I want to put that there. Alright, so with this simple little line, now all we're doing is drawing the ones that's intersected so we don't have to waste extra GPU power. And if we're wanting to have a pretty big world or whatever and we don't want to lag, we only want the stuff that can be seen by the player drawn. But that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to show you guys that. I thought this was a cool little project. Here's the update function, and also because I have to draw this every time, the tiles, whenever it finishes the loop, I set the tile position back to 0 because it's drawn every frame. So that way it can start back over at 0 and the tiles aren't shifting. Without this line, the tiles would constantly move to the right because of the way I did it. But right here, we have this drawn every time regardless. We draw the player shape and we draw the player.getCull shape display. But if you guys like this video, hit the like button, comment below what you want to see, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.